Hey everybody, it's nice to see all of you. Well, I keep saying that, but I'm not seeing any of you, except for on Zoom. So I'm glad you're tuning in. Today we're diving into a lesson from the book Greek Myth Plays, which is a series of 10 different plays that are based on Greek mythology and stories that were told in Greek mythology. And it was a fun thing to read, and it's a really fun activities to do together. And so in future Zoom lessons, I imagine we'll be pulling some of these out so we can experience some of the stories that are in Greek mythology, but also so that we can read and experience and have a good time working together. And so today, it's one of the first times that we have looking at a drama or a play, and so we're actually going to dive into the different elements that are in there that are different from just reading a normal narrative text or a nonfiction text, so that we can make sure we understand what we're looking for and how to read it, and then so that we can practice some of these in the future and learn stories that way. Because as someone who performed plays and musicals in high school and before that as well, and enjoy watching them afterwards, I think it's a great way to tell a story, and I think it's we all watch movies, we all watch TV, and this is where it started, so it's cool to dive in. So that's what we're going to get started with today. Let's do it. So again, we're going to be reading Greek myth plays. This is called Arachne and Athena, How Spiders Came to Be. You should have already watched the video or read the texts that were sent out. And we are going to refer to structural elements of drama. So today, again, we're going to be looking at the different parts of what's called a drama or plays, or you can think of it as theater, or you can even call them scripts, but it's just a little bit different. I went over a lot of it during the actual reading of the video, the characters, the stage directions, how the dialogue works, and so we're going to just be looking at each of those parts today and how they affect the story and how they help us understand what's happening. And then it's important to do that because, like I mentioned before, the plays are the very, very first kind of live entertainment medium that humans practiced. Now we see it in TV, we see it in movies, we see it on online streams and things like that. And so if you learn how to read a play in such a way, you can then start to write TV shows or movies that you think would be interesting, or you can start to even act in such a way and possibly pursue that as your career if you'd like to. And so that's why we're taking a look at these. You'll also see them on test occasionally, and so it's good to just know what each of these different components contain. All right, so before we get started, let's dive into the vocabulary. Excuse me. The first word is exquisite, which is an adjective which means very beautiful. You might think of like old, I think of old china, old dishes and glasses that I saw in my grandmother's house that maybe they keep very, very nice because they are very, very beautiful pieces of china. And so when I think exquisite, that's what I think. Or like an exquisite dress. If someone is going to a wedding or going to a professional occasion, they might be wearing a very beautiful outfit, an exquisite outfit. The word reveal means to make known. If you've ever watched a magician who does magic, they might hide something and then the rabbit pops out of the hat. The reveal. It just means make something known that wasn't known before. Number 3 is awe, is a very strong feeling of wonder mixed with fear or respect. A lot of times when people run into celebrities, they are overcome with awe, or someone that you really looked up to. You're just not sure how to handle yourself. You respect them and you're just amazed by how incredible that they are. That's what awe is. Number 4, the word is orb, something that is round like a ball. Think of like a crystal ball, just an orb. And number 5 is strand, is a length of fibers, thread, wires, or hairs. In this particular text, it refers to the strand of a spider web, and so anything that's long and stringy like so, you can consider a strand. Right. To get our minds wrapped around the lesson, or just a little small part of the lesson today, Athena pretends to be an old woman. When have you pretended to be someone else? So take a moment, answer that now. You come back. I can't wait to read the times when you guys have acted or pretended to be somebody else. Time when I pretended to be someone else, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, I used to perform in musicals in high school often, and so I got to pretend to be a lot of different people. I actually played a character so I was pretending to be someone, and that person pretended to be a ship captain. They pretended to be a person from a different country. They pretended to be a janitor. They pretended to be a circus performer, and so sometimes it's just fun to pretend that you're somebody else. Great. We're going to go right into the thinking questions. I know typically I do a lesson, but most of the elements that we're going to be referring to, I already spoke about in the reading portion of it. So if you're unsure about some of these terms that I'm using, you can refer back to that, and I'll make sure to go over them again as we're going through the thinking questions and point them out in the text. So first is, how does the author introduce Arachne to the readers? Before we get to the thinking questions, I just want to remind us again what we're doing. We're looking at the structural elements of drama, so the different parts of drama and plays that are different from regular narrative or prose texts, and be able to refer to them and how they affect the story. So, how does the author introduce Arachne to readers? Is the question. So, go back into the video or into your own text if you have it to check out how the author introduces Arachne. Pause the video. Great, and now that you're back, I'm going to show you how the author does so. So the very first bit that we get that tells about Arachne is in the very beginning. It's a fairly short play. The chorus is speaking to the audience and says, "Hear now the tale of Arachne." So we don't meet her yet. Tells us the story of a mortal girl who challenged the gods. And then chorus says again, "Arachne was the best mortal weaver in all of Greece, and she was trained by the goddess Athena, who taught the fine arts to many people of Greece." And then a customer arrives and says, "What a beautiful tapestry, I must buy it." And then Arachne says, "Why, thank you very much." And so before we see Athena, we're introduced to her by the chorus telling us a lot of what she did. She was a great weaver, the best, I'll even highlight it for you, the best mortal weaver in all of Greece. Okay. She was a girl who challenged the gods. She was trained by the goddess Athena. And the author does one other thing, is a new character, the customer, comes in and says, "What a beautiful tapestry." And so the author is introducing us by using the chorus characters and the customer characters to explain just how good of a weaver, how great of a weaver Arachne is. So, back to the worksheet screen. I figured out why my type has been doing so bad is my headphones screen comes in front of it. The author introduces Arachne by having the chorus tell the audience about how great a weaver she was and how she challenged the gods. The author also has a customer compliment her on how great her weaving is. Excellent. Great. So again, that's how the author introduces Arachne to the readers. We see that the chorus is telling the audience, us, that we're going to be listening to Arachne, a mortal girl who challenged the gods. She was the best weaver. And then the customer tells us that she has a beautiful tapestry that she must buy. So even before Arachne speaks, we know that she is an amazing weaver. Good. Second question says, how do the stage directions everyone gasps on page 49 and 50 add to the excitement of the play? So just as a reminder, the stage directions are the words that are in parentheses. I'll show them when we go over it, that tell the actors what to do, how to act. In a regular prose story, the author would be telling you as a reader what the characters are doing, but as we're reading this, we're kind of thinking as characters, and so the words in parentheses are what we would do. They're not words that we say, the words that we would do as the performers here. So check on page 49 and 50 and think about, you might want to read right before everyone gasps to find out why they're gasping and how it adds to the excitement. So pause the video. Great, now that you're coming back, I'm going to go back to the camera version. And so on page 49, you see the stage direction here again in parentheses. Focus. Nope. All right. Trying to make it build better for you guys. I know it's a little blurry. There you go. Everyone gasps. Okay. And then it happens again on page 50. Everyone gasps. And so I'm going to go before them and find out what's happening in the play. It says right here, the crowd stared in awe. Arachne was very surprised to see Athena, but she didn't show it. The crowd stared in awe, wondering what Arachne would do next. Arachne said, "You're on." So right before that, Athena has said, "Then let's do it, you ungrateful girl. I accept your challenge of a weaving contest." And so Arachne here is challenging a god, Athena. Now, that would be very surprising. Anyone challenge a god, that might be a very serious thing. So this gasping here shows that what happened was incredibly serious, or like really important. So I would write that down. So it shows that something important happened. To be specific, is something that's important that happened is that Arachne challenged Athena to a weaving contest. Now on page 50, we see the same, something very similar. The crowd gasps again, so let's go back. What happened here? Oh, Athena says, the chorus says, "Athena, what will you do to Arachne?" Let's go back even further. "However, your lack of respect for the gods and your pride angers me. I cannot allow it to continue." The chorus says, "Athena, what will you do to Arachne? Such a mortal must be punished." "I've got it. Since you love to weave so much, go ahead and continue weaving, but you will do it as a different creature." Athena put a spell on Arachne. Soon Arachne's body shrunk and turned into a black orb. Her limbs turned into 8 spindly legs. And so we already know that in the story of Arachne and Athena, Athena turns Arachne into a spider. This is where that happens. And so everyone gasps, showing that something, again, surprising or serious just happens. And so when we see that, that's how they add to the story. It lets us know that something surprising or serious has just happened. All right. The stage directions add to the excitement of the play because, stage directions of everyone gasps add excitement to the play because, did it again, gonna get this by the end of quarantine, because it shows the readers and the audience that something serious or surprising has happened. And just to make good answers, let's get some examples. For example, when Arachne challenges Athena to a weaving contest. All right. Next question says, describe how stage directions help you understand the story. So I would go right now, take a look back in the video, look at the stage directions, and not just the ones that says everyone gasp, the other ones in there. How does it help you understand what's going on in the story? Go ahead and pause the video and take a look. And now that you're back, let's take a look at these stage directions and figure out how they helped us. We already talked about the gasping stage directions. They just show us that something surprising has happened, and so they add to the excitement. Let's take a look at a couple of the other stage directions. Over here, oh, this stage directions for Athena tell us that she's disguised as an old woman. And so this is helping us understand because Arachne is saying all these things, but she doesn't know that Athena's there. And so we wouldn't know that unless the stage directions told us that she was disguised as an old woman. It was sharp. Why did it stop? There we go. Then here says, it tells Arachne to speak to the choruses to be quiet, and then to the woman, I would challenge Athena. Okay. So these stage directions help us understand because they tell us who the character is talking to, and then how they feel about the questions that are being asked. Same thing here with Athena. She says, revealing herself to Arachne, then let's do it, you ungrateful girl. Okay. These actions that Athena is taking, she is revealing herself to Athena, show that she believes that that Arachne is ungrateful. And so these stage directions help us understand by giving us information about how the characters act and also how they feel about the other characters. All right. And the situations. So the stage directions help us understand how the characters are acting, and how they feel about each other and the situation. I'm just going to give another example. For example, we know that Athena is offended by Arachne's boasting because she reveals herself to challenge Arachne to a weaving contest. And again, we would not know that she was hidden and then revealed herself without the stage directions. So that's how it helps us understand the story. All right, wonderful. Last question before our exit ticket. Well, is the chorus a character or a narrator in this play? Explain. We have two choruses, chorus 1 and chorus 2. Are they acting as a narrator or are they acting as a character? So go ahead and take a few moments to take a look back at the chorus's lines and decide whether you think they are someone who's inside the play and acting in it, or a narrator who's explaining the play. Right, now that you're back, we're going to take probably our second to last look back at the chorus's lines. And this can be a little confusing. It's not directly tied to our exit ticket, but I think it's important to check it out. Again, a character is someone who's interacting with the other characters in the story. A narrator is someone who is outside the story. And so here, again, the chorus is saying, "Hear now the tale of Arachne, the story of a mortal girl who challenged the gods." So in this part, the choruses are talking to the audience. And so if they're talking to the audience, that seems like they are a narrator. Okay, let's see the other things to say. Customers. Here's the chorus win. Don't be foolish, Arachne. No one challenges the gods and wins. Be very careful, Arachne. And so here it kind of seems like they're acting as characters because they're talking directly to Arachne. And so I think they're kind of acting as both. What about here? Arachne was very surprised to see Athena, but she didn't show it. The crowd stared in awe, wondering what Arachne would do. The two weavers began at their looms. So the William wove a bird, Athena wove a flower. So here, the choruses are telling what Athena and Arachne are doing, which is not what a character would do. This is what a narrator would do. And then over here, again, continuing, you see another part where it says Athena, or the chorus says, again, it's getting blurry. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening. Athena, what will you do to Arachne? Such a mortal must be punished. So again, it seems like those choruses are talking to the characters, or talking to Athena. And so I think in this case, the choruses are actually acting as both a narrator and as a character. Mostly as a narrator because they're explaining what's happening in the story, but also as a character because they're asking questions of the other characters to see what they will do. We might say that they're acting as a narrator in that sense too, because maybe they're like the character's conscience that's happening outside of their speaking. And so I'm going to make sure I explain that. So I think the chorus is acting as both a narrator and a character in this story. They are acting like a narrator because they are introducing characters and explaining what is happening in the story. They are acting as characters because they are asking both Athena and Arachne about what they are going to do. Kind of like a they don't take any actions themselves, so maybe their conversations with the characters are more like consciences. In that case, they are only acting as narrators. So again, I don't know, maybe not make a ton of sense to the first people who are reading plays for the first time, but in a play, we don't get to see what the characters are thinking in their heads unless they are saying it out loud, or if a narrator is saying it for us. And so when the choruses say, Athena, what are you going to do? They're kind of acting like Athena's voice in her head, her conscience. And so in that case, they're being more of a narrator than an actual character that's there. But the fact that Arachne turns and speaks to the chorus makes it seem like they are characters, but we all know that sometimes we hear our conscience and tell it to shut up. So as long as we've explained here, I think we can make the argument that it's either a character, a narrator, or both. All right, last exit ticket question, which is connected. How do the structural parts of the text help you understand the text, and which evidence from the text best supports the answer to part A? Okay. So again, the structural elements of the text that we've talked about are the character lists, the dialogue, the stage directions, those parts of the drama or the play that are different from prose stories. And so go ahead and dive back into the story, go back and look at your thinking questions and decide what you think is the best selection here. And then when you come back, we'll go through each one and discuss why one answer is the strongest and the others are not. Right. Now that you're back, let's take a look through each one. So again, how do the structural parts of the text help you understand the text? The characters give information about the setting. Throughout the entire text, we're not really given any information about the setting, and if we do, it's given to us by actually, we just don't get any information about the setting at all. And so this one, A, does not match up. Okay. The cast of characters helps me compare character traits. Now, this is interesting because some of the characters do, like Arachne says that, sorry, Athena says Arachne is being boastful, or she is being proud. Okay. But we don't really see any descriptions or any other characters talking about Athena and how she is. And so the cast of characters might help us see character traits, but we're not giving a chance to compare them and see what is similar and different about the characters. So this makes a little bit of sense, but not that much. Choice C says, the chorus helps me hear the rhythm in the text. I'm not sure there is any rhythm in the text. I didn't feel any rhythm, and if I did, it didn't come from the chorus. So not this time. And again, the rhythm in the text usually has to do with poetry, and so this is not really the structural element we're looking for when we're talking about plays. So, and then here this says, the stage directions help me understand how the characters act. This makes a ton of sense. It's actually what we talked about up here, how these stage directions help you understand the story, because they tell us how they're acting and how they feel about the situation. And so like when when Athena reveals herself, that tells us that she's taking off her disguise. That makes it seem that this is the best choice. So I'm just going to highlight that. All right, let's take a look. So again, if we're using stage directions, our evidence would probably be stage directions. And so 1, 2, and 3 are not stage directions, but C, it's a stage direction. And just to be sure, it says it helps us understand how the characters act. When everyone gasped, that it helps us understand that Arachne was acting in a very proud way, or that Athena was punishing Arachne by turning her into a spider, like we saw earlier. And so this is the best evidence that helps us understand how the stage directions help us see how the characters are acting. Well, and if you got those responses, you should feel very proud of yourself. We told how different parts of the text made it easier to understand, and we correctly named the parts of the text. We said stage directions, and it helped us understand how the characters act. Awesome. I know that was a bit new to most of us, and if it made sense to you, great. If it didn't, we're going to be looking at a couple more poems, sorry, not poems, a couple more plays and dramas throughout, and possibly starting to do some during our Zoom meetings too. So if it's your first time and you're still feeling a little bit confused about the different parts of the stage directions, I'd recommend rewatching the video again, and really turning into this video and the other works that we're going to be doing in the next few weeks. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you sometime soon.